she, her, hers, and ella pronouns.
I'm Julia Boleski. I'm a female.
I'm Heather Adams. Her, she.
My name is Katrina Jackson. I identify with she, her. I currently work at Neighbor Pro-Choice North Carolina. I'm the Advocacy and Organizing Manager. And what I do is a lot of advocacy and organizing. But to be more specific, I help our supporters and our members and our community partners and folks in the community really come together around reproductive rights and reproductive health and reproductive justice. And so collaborate a great deal with other organizations like Sister Song, Women of Color Reproductive Justice Collective, and the Carolina Abortion Fund, and El Pueblo, which works with Latinx populations around the state. And what we do is really just work really hard to ensure that all North Carolinians, regardless of who they are or where they live, their income levels, have access to the full range of their reproductive rights and reproductive health options.
And I work for the Rockingham County Partnership for Children. I'm the executive director. We're an early childhood focused nonprofit, so all of our services focus on children arriving at kindergarten healthy and ready to succeed. So I do a variety of things. Obviously, in a nonprofit, I work at the direction of a board of directors, have a staff of 15 that I supervise, coordinate, manage to a degree. So in short, I ensure that we're operating efficiently, that our financially that we're making wise financial choices. We are heavily state funded, so it's state taxpayer dollars. So try to definitely be sensitive to if someone from the public were to walk in and question things we are doing, that I would be able to explain them in a way that that we're using funding wisely. And so of course look at a lot of data to make sure we are meeting goals and benchmarks. Do a lot of community education around why early childhood and the work that we do is important. And I do a lot of, I feel like, solving problems and just like chatting and forming relationships. Do some fundraising, not a lot in my role. I should do more. And I think that's probably a good nutshell. Every day is a little different.
I am a social work supervisor at Alumni County Department of Social Services. So basically, I'm over our child care subsidy assistance program and work with our child care providers that accept subsidy, and then also provide case staffing for the lower level social workers under me. So
I'm an associate recruiter with Charles Aris, so I'm essentially a corporate headhunter for Fortune 500 organizations.
I mean, I probably define success, I think, for myself as feeling like I'm doing important work. I feel like that's a family value, and also I feel like it's definitely a value for me in Guilford. So that I feel like I'm contributing to society in a positive way is definitely a piece of that. And then also that I feel like I am happy, that I've got some kind of balance. I think that's really important. I've got a lot of friends and colleagues who I guess would be considered successful by a lot of like mainstream standards, but they're also behind the scenes. They're really good people, I feel like. So I feel like for me that's a piece of it, is just like having a balance and feeling well-rounded.
The way that I define success for me, which has been something that I've been working on for the last 2 years since I graduated, was really just feeling fulfilled every single day. Even if it's setting really small goals for myself and meeting those every single day, I think that's how I feel successful, and also how I just feel fulfilled in my everyday life, especially transitioning into a full-time career. So yeah, that's kind of even a goal that I've set for myself moving forward, is to set goals, define success in that way.
in my profession, I define success like if I can get a family what they need so that they can be successful and self-sufficient, that's success for me and how I defined it in the type of work that I do. I'll start with how I do not define success. I do not define success by cash money or that I drive some fancy car, because to me, those kind of material wealth, classist ways of thinking are not important, and to me don't indicate success. For me, what indicates success is obviously the ability to survive and to thrive and to have a good commute away in the golf cart to go by. To have a good community of people around who can be supportive, who also care about the same sorts of things I do. And I think that translates into the work I do, because success, for me, in terms of my work, I mean, the ultimate success, right, is that everyone can fully actualize their constitutional, legal rights around reproductive rights. That everyone has access to comprehensive reproductive health care, that everyone has access to health insurance, that people can go to the doctor when they need to, that folks just, have the freedom and the unobstructed right to decide if they want to have children or not, and if so, how many, when, and that they then have the freedom to parent those children without worrying that their kids are going to not have good public schools, or that their kids are not going to be able to eat, or that their children are going to be shot in the street simply because they are black or brown. That's kind of the big dream of success. In the meantime, I think more like short-term and medium-term successes are more and more people who are not afraid to stand up and say, you know what? Yeah, hell yeah, I believe in reproductive rights. Hell yeah, I believe in abortion access. Yes, I think that people should have a living wage and be able to provide for their families and not be struggling. And so getting more people to be, not just to believe those things, but to be proud about saying them out loud.
Early childhood is a predominantly female-dominated field. I work in Rockingham County, which is north of here, so a rural, more conservative county. So I definitely feel like I see the impact of, as a female. There are definitely males who I feel like treat me differently. I work with a number of middle-aged, what I would kind of call old-school men who sometimes the comments that come out of their mouth, I'm shocked at things they feel like it's okay to say to me, but I know they wouldn't say it to a male counterpart. I guess would be a good example. So I think in the early childhood world, actually being male or identifying as male would be more challenging in some ways. So that's probably a little different than some industries.
I want to say social work is a little bit different than some other professions in that I think there is a stereotype that social workers tend to be women, that a woman is going to, I guess, be nurturing, take on other people's problems. So I do believe that there is a perception that, like nursing and some other professions, that tends to be work that is more suited for women, which I don't agree with. So I do think that gender can impact success in my field because there is that perception. I think that there is a lot of men who need help and don't seek it because they don't see enough of people that look like them in my position, because when you are a social worker, you are kind of in a position of power. You're a gatekeeper between people and the services that they need. So that definitely, I think, is a failure in our society, that we don't see that as a problem. We look at other types of diversity, and I think we should be bothered by gender diversity too, especially when you're in a field like mine.
Sadly, yes, both my gender and my sex influence success, because as a cisgender woman, I have to fight harder to get paid what I should be paid. So that impacts success. I have to, be much stronger in standing up for what I believe in and in saying that, no, this is a fact. No, you shouldn't be questioning me just because I'm female and just because I'm a cisgender woman. Because of larger societal factors, such as sexism and patriarchy and heterosexism, etc. And at the same time, there's that. But then I also have a heck of a lot of unearned privilege because of the color of my skin, because I happen to be born, and because I happen to be born in the United States. So I'm fighting against some forms of repression while take risks where other people may not feel that they can. And so balancing those things, both fighting against and being like, if you're going to give me these unearned privileges, then I'm going to use them to kick the door in and make you have to listen to me, whereas you might not listen to something that someone I know says simply because of how they look or where they're from, even though we're saying the exact same thing.
Creativity, I have to be very intentional about creative practices now because I have very limited time to do things that I love. So like making art, photography, painting, things like that, even just listening to music, I would say is like creative outlets for me. But in my everyday, I mean, I'm spending so much time in an office. I think, my job is making really quick connections with people that have no idea who I am or my background whatsoever. So it really is about being creative and making those connections, finding something that's mutual that you can connect to somebody with. I think that takes a lot of creativity to be successful in doing. So that's something that I'm also integrating into my everyday work.
Some people feel that DSS, you have to follow policy, and it's true. There are a lot of state and local and federal policies that basically dictate everything we do. But I've learned that, you can advocate, you can put data together. If you see a need and you talk to the right people, you can still influence that policy locally. So I've been able to do that at my job. We had a policy change, I want to say back in 2014, that was going to cut services for a lot of school agers. So, we were able to find another pot of money that we weren't using. I talked to my director about it. She said, write a proposal, and we were able to create a school age scholarship to kind of help those parents who are losing services through our subsidy program. So this was completely outside of subsidy and not something that as an agency we were required to do. But I'm just glad I do work for an agency that does encourage you to find creative solutions so that, families aren't impacted negatively. So that's something I think that Guilford really taught me how to do, to think outside the box. So
I probably don't do as many, I used to think of as creativity as more like artsy, craftsy kind of things. I don't do as much of that as I did many years ago, but I do think that one, I'm being in early childhood, doing stuff with kids I'm not with kids a ton, but when I am, that gives lots of opportunities for creativity. I think within our organization, we really value everyone's opinion and viewpoint, and with that, their creativity. And so whether it's we're designing flyers for events or design actually events themselves, letting folks bring their own kind of flair to the table. I mean, personally, I do things I think are kind of cheesy, where it's I do lots of color coding, which some people would define that more as OCD anal, but I feel for me, it's a way I can use my creativity. I'd be I'm going to break out my different color markers in the middle of a meeting and write into the colors, which is not necessarily always, the norm in professional settings. And I think also this is true for myself. I think for some of my colleagues too. I don't wear a suit to work. I mean, I think I try and use a little more creativity in how I dress at times. I mean, I can play the part when I have to, but I also feel I try to break from that norm too, and which to me would be an expression of creativity also. And then in terms of personal life, I mean, I try and have creative things I do as an outlet. I mean, some kind of art type projects too.
Using social media in ways that aren't just tweet, boring, but trying to use all the tools that are available to be creative and to really celebrate. Because I think a lot of times those of us who are fighting for different issues within the larger umbrella of social justice, there's just so much awful stuff, right? We're always playing defense. There's this other terrible thing that's happening. So trying to keep the creative in mind as a way to fight for things that we want to see and as a way to lift our spirits up. Widely attributed, who knows if she actually said it, but quote to Emma Goldman is, if I can't dance, I don't want to be a part of your revolution. And I am a full, 100% believer in that, regardless of whether she said it or not.